I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. My goal is to reach the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you and enjoy. Before I tell you what happened, here's the practical point of this story. Disrespect doesn't always show up as yelling or insults. Sometimes it shows up as speed. The speed of an excuse. The speed of a mood change. The speed of someone trying to steer your reality before you even finish a sentence. If you miss those early signals, you'll waste months arguing about tone while the real game is happening somewhere else. This is about how I learned to stop debating feelings and start protecting access. Access to my home, my time, my money, and my name. Not with drama, with structure, with rules, with calm moves that make manipulation expensive. I pulled into my driveway in Henderson at about 2 p.m., the sun bright enough to wash the color out of the stucco. I should have been in the air. My flight got canceled, and instead of calling Lauren and listening to fake excitement, I decided to just come home. And there she was, standing on the pavers like she was waiting for a valet. Tight jeans, heels that didn't belong on our driveway, fresh shine on her lips, and that kind of perfume she only wore when she wanted a room to remember her. She had a little purse clenched in her hand like it was glued there. She saw my truck and flinched. Not a cute surprise. A startled, caught-off-guard jerk that lasted half a second too long. Her first words weren't, "You're home early." Not, "Are you okay?" Not even, "What happened to your flight?" "I'm going to the store," she blurted. I looked past her at her car. Empty. No reusable bags, no list on the dash, no nothing. I shut my door and walked up slow like I had all day. Because I did. "The store," I repeated. "For what?" She did a nervous laugh that didn't match the moment. Too high. Too quick. Like a sound effect. "Just groceries. We're out of stuff." I glanced at her hands. She clicked her key fob twice. Lock. Lock. Like a tick. Her eyes flicked down the street toward the neighbors' houses, then back to me. "You're dressed for groceries?" I asked. "It's not a big deal, Ryan." "Where's the food?" I nodded toward her car. "Because I'm not seeing any." Her face shifted. First surprise, then annoyance, then that practice calm she used when she wanted to put me in the wrong. "Why are you acting like this?" I stopped 2 steps away from her and kept my voice flat. "I don't need pasta and vegetables. I need honesty." It was a micropause. Not anger. Not laughter. A delay. Like she was searching for the right script and realizing she didn't pack it. Then she snapped into a new tone. "You're being weird," she said, crisp and dismissive. "Don't make this a problem." She brushed past me and walked into the house like the outfit itself was proof I was overreacting. Over her shoulder she tossed, "I'm going to change real quick." Like changing clothes would change the facts. I stood there for a second, listening to the front door close behind her. The house felt normal from the outside. Inside, it suddenly felt like a set. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have taken a picture of her face right then, just to remember the exact moment her plan hit turbulence. I walked in, set my carry-on by the entry bench, and followed the sound of her heels tapping down the hallway. Heels she just happened to put on to buy groceries. In the kitchen, she opened the fridge and stared into it like she was trying to invent a reason to be there. The fridge was stocked. She'd been organizing closets in a sweatshirt when I left that morning. Now she was dressed for a night out at 2 p.m. and pretending she didn't know what she was doing. "Flight got canceled," I said. She didn't turn around. "Lauren." She closed the fridge and finally faced me, arms crossed, lips still glossy. "What?" "I asked you a simple question." "I answered you," she said. You're doing that thing." "What thing?" "This." She waved a hand at me like I was a bad smell. The interrogation. The cold tone. The suspicion. I let sit. Then I asked, "What were you really doing outside?" Her eyes narrowed. "I was leaving." "Leaving to go where?" "To get out of the house," she snapped. "Because you've been a lot lately." I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. "So now it's my fault you're dressed like that at 2 in the afternoon?" She leaned forward slightly. "You don't get to police what I wear." "I'm not policing. I am noticing." "God, you're exhausting." I nodded once, slow. "Okay, here's how today works." Her eyebrows lifted. "Excuse me. You're not going anywhere until we're clear," I said. "Not because I'm trying to control you. Because I live here too. And I'm not living inside fog." Her mouth opened like she was about to throw a whole speech at me. Then she pivoted again, softer. "You're overthinking," she said, like she was trying to soothe a nervous animal. I needed to breathe. That's all." I held her gaze. "Breathe where?" She shrugged. "With the girls. Maybe I'll meet Mia later." "I don't know." "Funny," I said. "You don't know, but you're already in heels." Her jaw tightened. "You want me to be a slob all day? Is that what you want?" I leaned on the counter and kept my tone calm. "I want consistency. I want your words to match your actions." She rolled her eyes. "There it is. Mr. Logic." "Yep," I replied. "Mr. Logic pays the mortgage." That landed. Not like a punch, like a boundary. Her voice went sweeter. "Ryan, don't start doing this. I'm not your employee. I'm not asking you to clock in," I said. "I'm asking you to be straight." She exhaled and looked past me toward the living room, like she was scanning for an exit. "Fine," she said. "I'll stay. Happy, not the goal." I answered. "Clear is the goal." She took 2 steps toward me, then stopped like she was thinking about hugging me and realizing it wouldn't work. "Can we not do this right now?" she asked. "I had a stressful morning." "Same," I said, "except my stress involved an airport. Yours involved putting on lipstick for groceries." Her eyes flashed. "You're such a jerk sometimes." I nodded. "And yet you married me." She turned away, grabbed a glass, filled it with water, and took a sip like she was trying to swallow irritation. "I'm going to change," she repeated, already walking down the hall. "Go ahead," I called after her. Changing doesn't answer questions. A few minutes later, she came back in leggings and a loose tee, hair quickly pulled back. "New costume." "Same story." "Better?" she asked, sarcasm heavy. "More believable for laundry," I replied. "Not for your mood." Her lips pressed tight. "You know what, Ryan? Maybe I do need space." "Okay," I said. "Space has a price." She froze. "What does that mean?" "It means if you want to live like you're single, you don't do it while using married access," I said. "My calendar stays mine. My time stays mine. Our house stays calm. You don't get to slam doors and vanish and call it self-care." She scoffed. "You're so dramatic." I glanced at her phone on the counter. "Then unlock it." "What?" "You heard me," I said. "If this is nothing, you don't need privacy shields." Her face tightened. "That's controlling." "No. Y correcta." "That's a test. And your answer is the answer." She snatched the phone and held it close. "I'm not doing that." I nodded once. "Then we're done with pretending today is normal." She stared at me like she wanted me to react louder. I didn't. Instead, I walked to the office nook in the corner of the living room, our shared little setup where we used to laugh about being a team, and I started unplugging my laptop dock. Lauren's voice sharpened. "What are you doing?" "Changing my work setup," I said. "I'm taking calls from the office downtown for a while." "So you're punishing me?" "I'm protecting my focus," I replied. "If you're going to bring chaos into the house, I'm not going to sit inside it." She huffed. "Unbelievable." I carried my laptop bag to the door and put my keys on the hook like it was a normal day. Before I left, I turned back. "Tonight, no disappearing acts. If you want to talk, we talk. If you want space, you get it outside my life, not inside my home." She lifted her chin. "You're not the boss of me." I opened the door. "No, I'm just the guy who decides what I tolerate." I drove to my office, not because I had to, but because I wanted the message to be physical. I wanted her to feel the shift in the structure. And while I was driving, my phone buzzed. "Lauren, can we reset?" I didn't mean to snap. "I'll make dinner." That was the first soft move, the first illusion. A little warmth right after I changed the rules. I didn't reply. I didn't reward it. I just kept driving. At the office, my coworker Shane was already there, leaning over the break room counter with a paper cup of coffee like he owned the building. Shane's in his late 40s, former military, speaks in straight lines. Not a gossip guy. He says things once. He saw my bag and raised an eyebrow. "Thought you were out of town." "Flight got canceled," I said. "Lucky you," he replied. "Or unlucky. Depends on who's waiting at home." I gave him a look. "You ever notice how the universe has timing?" He snorted. "I notice it loves a mess." We got into my office. I closed the door, set up my laptop, and took my first call. Work was normal. My brain liked normal. Around 5:30, my phone buzzed again. "Lauren, I made your favorite." Please don't be mad. I almost laughed. My favorite. Like I was a dog she could distract with a treat. I texted back one sentence. We'll talk after dinner. Not before. When I got home, the table was set like a photo. Candles, nice plates, her hair done again. Different look. Same agenda. She greeted me with a too bright smile. Hey, long day. I hung my keys up and looked at the candles. Are we having a power outage? She forced a laugh. I'm trying. Trying what? I asked. Trying to make things nice, she said, stepping closer. Her voice went softer. I'm sorry for earlier. You surprised me. There it was. Not surprised to see me. Surprised to have her timeline interrupted. I pulled out a chair and, Saturday, tell me where you were going. She blinked. I told you. Try again, I said. Her smile tightened. Ryan, why can't you accept? I held up a hand, calm. Facts, not speeches. She took a slow breath, eyes shiny like she was about to perform regret. I was meeting the girls, she said. I didn't want you to make a thing out of it. You didn't want me to know, I replied. That's not what I said. It's what you did, I said. She reached for my hand across the table. Can we not fight? I slid my hand back. We're not fighting. We're clarifying. Her face fell for half a second. Then she snapped into irritation. You always do this, she said. You always need control. I leaned back. I don't need control. I need respect. She scoffed. Respect, respect, respect. You sound like a podcast. I smiled a little. And you sound like someone who wants space, but also wants the benefits of a husband. She stood up fast, chair scraping. Wow, so you're saying I'm using you? I'm saying your behavior looks like someone building an exit without paying the cost. I answered. Her voice rose. You're paranoid. Then unlock your phone, I said again. Her eyes widened. No, I nodded. Then eat dinner. Alone. I stood up, walked to the pantry, and grabbed the folder where we kept house stuff, utilities, insurance, the kind of boring paperwork that makes adulthood real. I pulled it out and set it on the counter. Lauren stared at it like I'd pulled out a weapon. What's that? She asked. Structure, I said, since we're not doing honesty. Her voice dropped. Ryan, don't be dramatic. Too late, I replied. You already started the drama outside. I'm just changing the script. She crossed her arms. You can't just. I cut in. Starting tonight, my schedule is mine. No more shared calendar access. I'm not explaining where I am. I'm not asking where you are. If you want to be roommates, you can be roommates. If you want a marriage, you show up like a married woman. She stared at me, mouth slightly open. So you're punishing me. I walked past her toward the bedroom. I am removing ambiguity. Sst. Behind me, she called, You're being cold. I paused at the hallway and turned back. Cold is lined to someone's face with lipstick on. I'm just not playing dumb. That night, she tried the second angle. Not anger, not apology, silence. She went to bed without saying goodnight. I slept in the guest room because I wasn't going to share a bed with someone who treated truth like an optional feature. In the morning, she acted like nothing happened. She made coffee. She set a mug by the guest room door like a peace offering. Morning, she said lightly when I came out. I thought you might want this. I picked up the mug. Thanks. She watched me like she expected that to reset everything. You feel better? She asked. I feel clear, I said. Her smile flickered. So, can we move on? Not without facts, I replied. Her eyes narrowed. You're stuck on this. I took a sip and looked at her. You're stuck on avoiding it. She sighed dramatically. Fine, I'm going on a little trip. A trip, I repeated. With the girls, she said fast. Just a couple days. Nothing nailed down. We need a break. From what? I asked. Laundry. Her cheeks flushed. From you being like this. I nodded slowly. Dates. It's spontaneous. Location. She shrugged. Somewhere relaxing. Names, I said. Which girls? She rolled her eyes. Why do you need a roster? Because you're asking for trust while acting untrustworthy, I replied. Her voice sharpened. I can't breathe around you. I leaned against the counter. Then don't. But if you walk out like this, you don't walk back into the same setup. Her face tightened. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you, I said. If you want your own life, you get it. I'm not financing your mystery. She stared at me, then did the classic pivot. Blame. This is why I need space, she said. You're cold. You're controlling. You don't fight for us. I almost laughed again. Fight for us. That line sounds romantic until you realize it often means chase me while I do whatever I want. I fight for respect, I said, not for access to someone who keeps moving the goalposts. She grabbed her phone and started tapping like she was going to call someone. Go ahead, I said. Call the girls. Put on speaker. She froze, and then she walked out of the kitchen without another word. That afternoon, I got a message notification from an app we both use for location sharing. Or I used to. Lauren had removed me. Then another. Social media blocked. Not after a fight. Not after a breakup. Right after she announced a vague trip. I stared at the screen and felt something settle in my chest. Not pain. Not shock. Confirmation. You don't block your husband to get space. You block him to hide movement. When she came home that evening, she was carrying a small suitcase like she'd packed while I was at work. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, she announced, not even looking at me. I kept my tone calm. You're not. She stopped. Excuse me. You can leave, I said, but you're not leaving under my roof while keeping my support. You want to go, you go single. Her eyes narrowed. You don't get to decide that. I walked to the closet, pulled out my own overnight bag, and set it by the door. I already did. I'm staying at my buddy Carlos's for 2 nights. You'll have all the space you're begging for. Her mouth fell open. You're leaving me? I'm leaving the fog. I corrected. If you want a marriage, you'll be here when I come back, ready to talk with facts. If you want a double life, enjoy the quiet house. Her voice got sharp. This is childish. Childish is blocking your husband like he's a spam account, I replied. She stepped closer, eyes glossy again. Ryan, don't do this. I tilted my head. Name the trip details. Right now. She swallowed. I can't. Because it's not. Because it's not true. I finished. She snapped. You don't trust me. I nodded once. Correct. I grabbed my bag and walked out. That was my initiative. Not a tantrum. A logistical shift. I removed myself from her stage. Carlos lived 10 minutes away, a divorced guy with a garage full of tools and a calm way of talking. He didn't ask for the whole story. He asked one question. You safe here? He said as I set my bag down. Yeah, I replied. He nodded. Then sleep. Tomorrow, you make moves, not speeches. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Lauren, I miss you. Can we talk when I get back? I'll cancel if you want. Second illusion. Bigger. Overly sweet. A sudden offer to cancel without offering details. Like she was tossing me a bone. I texted back. Do what you're going to do. I'm handling my side. A few hours later, my doorbell camera pinged. Lauren had left. Suitcase in hand. Sunglasses on. No woudvie. And I was blocked enough that I couldn't see where she went. I didn't chase. I didn't beg. I didn't call her friends like a desperate teenager. I did something boring. Something grown. I went downtown and sat in a quiet office where people handle paperwork for adults who need order. The guy behind the desk wasn't dramatic. He was the opposite. Calm, precise. He glanced at my notes, screenshots of the blocks, the removal from shared apps, a photo I took of Lauren in heels on our driveway, and a message about the spontaneous trip. He looked at me and said, You want this clean? Yes, I replied. I want it structured. He nodded. Then you act before the story gets rewritten. That was it. No theatrics. Just reality. I signed what I needed to sign. I set a process in motion that didn't depend on Lauren's mood, tears, or sudden love bombing. When I walked out, the air felt hotter, like the city was reminding me I was alive and not trapped inside someone else's narrative. That night, Mia showed up at my house. Lauren's younger sister was in her late 20s, always a little nervous, always trying to be the peacekeeper in their family. The kind of person who hates conflict but hates lies more. She stood on my porch holding her phone like it weighed 10 pounds. Ryan, she said, voice tight, I need to show you something. I didn't invite her in right away. I studied her face. Is this about Lauren? Mia nodded fast. I didn't want to be involved. I really didn't. But this is wrong. I stepped aside. Comein. She sat on the edge of the couch like she might bolt. I'm not doing this to hurt you, she said quickly. I'm doing this because she's going to come back and act like you're crazy. I kept my voice even. Show me. Mia unlocked her phone and pulled up a video story someone had posted. A balcony, ocean in the background, 2 breakfasts on a small table, the glass door reflecting the room behind the camera. And in that reflection, Lauren, close to a man, not a group, not girls, a paired scene, the kind of closeness that doesn't happen by accident. Mia's voice shook. She blocked you so you wouldn't see this. I stared at the screen and felt my last bit of doubt drain out like water down a sink. Mia swallowed. She thinks she can come back and flip it. Make it about your coldness. Make you apologize. I nodded slowly. That's her whole style. Mia looked down. She kept saying you're controlling. I gave a small, humorless smile. People call you controlling when you stop being convenient. Mia's eyes watered. I'm sorry. I stood up and walked to the kitchen, not because I needed water, but because I needed movement. Something observable. Something to keep me steady. When I came back, Mia was wiping her face with her sleeve like she was embarrassed to be emotional. I sat across from her. You did the right thing. She shook her head. It doesn't feel like it. It will, I replied. Later. She stood up. What are you going to do? I leaned back. I already did it. Her eyes widened. You already? I held up a hand. I handled paperwork this morning. I'm not waiting for her to come home and put on a show. Mia exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. Okay. At the door, she hesitated. She's going to lose it. I nodded. That's not my emergency. When Lauren came back 2 days later, she texted me like we were still playing house. Lauren, landed. Why aren't you here? I didn't answer. She pulled into the driveway an hour later and stormed inside like she owned the air. Ryan, she shouted. What is this? I was at the dining table with a folder and my laptop. Calm. Prepared. Not in negotiation mode. She threw her purse on the counter. Why didn't you meet me? I was standing there like an idiot. I glanced up. You were standing there like someone who makes choices. Her eyes flashed. Excuse me. I closed my laptop slowly. We need to talk. She laughed sharply. Now you want to talk? After you ignored me? I nodded once. Now we talk. You wanted space, remember? You got it. She stepped closer, voice dropping into that softer, dramatic register. Ryan, I was scared. Of what? I asked. Maps. Her face tightened. Don't do that. Then don't do this. I replied. Sit down. She didn't sit. She paced. I needed time to think, she said. You've been so distant. You don't see me. I tilted my head. Name one concrete thing you did that matches that story. She blinked. What? Actions, I said. Not feelings. What did you do? She swallowed. I tried. I texted you. I offered to cancel. I nodded. You offered to cancel a trip you couldn't describe, with people you wouldn't name, after blocking me. She snapped. Because you were being controlling. I stayed calm. No, because you were hiding. Her eyes went wide. Hiding what? I slid my phone across the table and played the balcony clip. No commentori. No speech. Just facts. The color drained from her face in real time. Then her expression turned into anger, like anger could erase what the screen showed. Who sent you that? She hissed. I kept my voice flat. Does it matter? Yes, she snapped. That's private. I leaned back. You don't get privacy and partnership at the same time when you're using privacy as a weapon. Her breathing got fast. This is insane. You're spying on me. I raised an eyebrow. You posted it. Someone else shared it. You blocked me to control what I could see. That's not spying. That's you slipping up. She stepped closer, eyes glossy again. Ryan, listen. It's not what you think. Okay, I said. Explain it. With facts. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried to pivot. You don't understand how lonely I've been, she said. You work all the time. You come home and you're not present. I nodded slowly. So your solution was to build a life I'm not allowed to see. She shook her head, tears starting. I didn't mean for this to happen. I stayed calm. You dressed up at 2 in the afternoon and lied to my face before you even said hello. That didn't happen. That was a choice. She wiped at her cheek. Ryan, please. We can start over. I'll go to counseling. I'll do anything. Name it. I replied. What do you stop? What do you change? What does accountability look like Monday morning? She stared at me like I was speaking another language. I'll be better, she said, weak. That's a slogan, I said. Not a plan. She got angry again. So what, you're just done? After everything? I nodded once. Yes. Her eyes widened. You can't just decide that. I already did, I said, and slid the folder across the table. She stared at it, then back at me. What is that? Paper, I answered. The kind that doesn't care about your tone. Her hand shook as she opened it. Her face went from anger to panic. You did this without me, she whispered. I kept my voice even. You built your little space without me. I built mine. She looked up, desperate now. Ryan, don't do this. I'll fix it. I stood up, not fast, not dramatic. No, you'll manage the consequences. Different thing. She stepped toward me. Where am I supposed to go? I pointed toward the guest room. Pack a bag. Tonight you stay with your sister or your parents or whoever you've been so busy protecting. This house is not your reset button. She stared like she couldn't believe I was serious. You're kicking me out. I'm removing access, I corrected. You can't block me from reality and still live in my structure. She tried one last move, soft voice, hand reaching. Ryan, she whispered. Please. I love you. I didn't flinch. I didn't insult her. I just said the clean truth. You love the version of me that stays quiet. Her hand dropped. She stood there, breathing hard, eyes darting like she was looking for the old Ryan, the guy who would debate for hours, who would try to be fair while she played unfair. That guy wasn't available anymore. She finally snapped, voice sharp. You're going to regret this. I opened the front door and held it. No, I'm going to recover from it. She walked past me, suitcase rolling behind her, and paused on the porch like she wanted one last dramatic line. I gave her one, calm and final. Don't come back to negotiate respect, I said. Come back only for your things. She left. I changed the practical stuff that same night. Keys, access codes, schedules. Not out of spite, out of clarity. Months later, my life is quieter in the best way. I bought a different place closer to work, a clean setup that feels like mine. I sleep through the night. I see my friends again without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I started dating a woman named Tessa, steady, direct, the kind of person who doesn't treat honesty like a trap. We take weekend drives out past the city, no drama, no games, just conversation and good food. Lauren? I hear fragments through the family grapevine. Not details, just the shape of it. She doesn't have the same comfort. She doesn't have the same stability. The space she demanded turned out to be expensive when it wasn't subsidized by my patience. And for the first time in a long time, my home feels like a home, not a stage. Here's what I learned, and it's simple enough to write on a napkin. First, pay attention to speed and misalignment. When someone's story doesn't match their behavior, and they rush to label you cold or controlling, that's not a communication issue. That's a steering wheel. The moment I saw Lauren in heels at 2 p.m., it wasn't about fashion. It was about her trying to move me off the facts before I could even stand still. If you ignore those early signals, you don't get a better talk later. You get a better performance. Second, stop trying to win debates and start changing access. The mistake would have been endless conversations, chasing details, trying to prove I was reasonable. Reasonable men get eaten alive by unreasonable rules. What worked was logistics, separating my time, moving my work out of the house, removing shared access, and making it clear that ambiguity doesn't live under my roof. Calm structure beats emotional fog every time. Third, illusions of change are not change. Dinner, apologies, sudden sweetness. Those could be tactics when someone feels their control slipping. If you melt every time they get warm, you'll be trained like a light switch. I acknowledged the gestures, but I kept the line. Facts first, accountability second, access last. Respect is not a mood. It's a behavior pattern. The moment the pattern breaks and the other person tries to rewrite reality, you don't need louder feelings. You need cleaner decisions. That's where the story ends. And since you stayed until the end, I guess you liked it. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day.